we're going to call to order the regular monthly meeting of the City of Helotes Planning and Zoning Commission for December. It's December the 4th at 7:01, and I ask the Commission Secretary to call the roll, please.
Greg Michelle.
Here.
Jason Whiteman.
Here.
Ron Haza. Joe Edmond.
Here.
Mario Rios.
Here.
Richard Hawk.
Here.
Jeff Wade. Mike McLaughlin.
Here.
And Susan Darst from staff and Alex Blue from council are here. I don't believe we have any citizens to be heard signed up tonight. We're going to advance to number 4 on our agenda, which is the update from Councilman Blue on the items listed on the agenda, which were the items from last month that this body considered.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as you saw on the on your agenda there were various different things that came before council that also had previously come before planning and zoning. Just to give you some idea, the specific city council approved permit for co-locating the T-Mobile equipment in the same tower that's already here. That was approved, just the same as it was recommended by planning and zoning. The request to rescind the ordinance regarding the townhouse district, and the ordinance also pertained to which portions of that property could be cleared and not. There was a lot of discussion, and obviously a lot of it citizens to be heard, and discussion about that as well. There was even an attempt to postpone it. However, council members basically said, no, we're not postponing it, to give the developer a chance to come back with a redesign project, and we want to vote on it up or down, and if they want to come back, they can start the process over. And that motion to vote it up or down, it was denied unanimously. So at this point, it's basically the last thing that was approved on that property is still what's pending, and I'm not sure that's the best thing for that property, but that's what's still approved, and that's with the 12 properties, 10 along the road, and 2 larger 1+ acre spots in the back. So if they choose to progress with that, they can, because that's what was approved 6 years ago or so.
So we haven't heard anything new?
Nothing new. Okay. And I haven't heard anything, but that might be something they would be working with the city administrator on. The specific city council approved use permit for the drive-through for Bandera Road Cafe was approved just as recommended by planning and zoning. They're just moving to a different building. The variance for wall signage from El Rodeo Mexican Grill, their initial request came to you. It was not approved in its request form, but with a smaller size sign recommended. Council concurred with planning and zoning and did approve larger than the square footage, but smaller than their initial request, because it was still out of range. The same exact conversation that you guys had was had at council, and that same recommendation passed there as well. The wall signage for Cheetalish direct from the mines was approved exactly as planning and zoning had recommended to council to approve it.
Other questions for Councilman Blue?
Any reason for the size change on the El Rodeo, or they just compromised, or making the sign? We had said we wanted it smaller, and
well, there was an attempt by them to say, well, we'll take the stars off and we'll take the little and that'll make it sign, and council basically said, no, that doesn't make it acceptable. You must comply with what was being required, and that is the square footage amount. And even if you modify by just taking the pieces off the end, it didn't comply, and so we stood firm on that. The final motion actually was read by the mayor as being one that defined the width and height in order to define that size. Not just say you get this plus percent. He actually defined it as a certain length and a certain height. What's up there now is not what complies, but that's a separate issue that our code compliance.
I was going to say, I went by there, it looks pretty big.
Say that one more time.
What was put up by that company did not comply with what planning and zoning or city council approved.
What is right there right now?
It's too big.
That's correct.
Okay, so
It's larger than was approved at the council meeting, and it was up very quickly, which They did modify, they took some stars and stuff off of it, but it still doesn't comply with the size requirement that was put to them. And Susan, isn't that right? Our code compliance folks are working on that.
Okay, good.
And staff's working with that to make sure that it does get corrected to comply with what was
Okay,
approved.
I had received I had sought staff input about that, that was my concern, and was told that, in fact, what was there was compliant. So I'm glad to hear that that may not be the case, that what I was told was erroneous.
Yeah, well, they're in progress of investigating it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, and it was a lot we had last month, and I hope it gives folks a little bit of confidence in the wake of the structural change and how we work, that council remains very much informed by what we're doing, and this is a good example where they were really following our lead and appreciating what we had done. Not to say that I'll always agree on what we do, of course, but that in this case, I think the city was well served by having both bodies weigh in and express a view and have a formal vote from council on it. So, thank you, Alex. Our next item tonight is approval of the minutes, and that is from the meeting on November 6th. Hope you've had a chance to review them. If you noticed any corrections or edits that need to be made, please call those to our attention, or we can have a motion.
I reviewed the minutes, Mr. Chairman, and I recommend that they be approved as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
It was Mario. So all in favor of approving the minutes from the November 6th meeting as submitted, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. We have the October ones here too to sign off on. Yeah, the official one. I know. We approved them, but we didn't sign them last month. All right, we're going to move to item 6 tonight. Item 6 is discussion and action on a request by Jorge Coronado for approval of a variance to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, Section 51. That's signs, commercial signs, projecting wall, hanging or in or on windows, and authorizing wall signage for 46th Street, New York Pizzeria at 12510 Bandera Road, Suite 102. Susan, I would turn it to you to present for council. Is one of you folks here for that one? Later? Okay, so go ahead, Susan.
For Chapter 66 signs, Section 66.51 of the code, all of the items are compliant with the exception of size. The applicant size is 40 square feet. As you know, it's 1 linear foot per linear feet of frontage. The frontage is 28 feet. So it currently exceeds our code by 12 square feet. If you did go up to the 25% variance, it would still be a max of 35, which what they're proposing is still in excess of that amount.
Otherwise, it's compliant. Right. So discussion about the request for the variance to allow for a sign that exceeds what's permitted by code in terms of size would be the main issue here. You've seen the sign. It is the back, the last page, I believe, of the drawing. It's not meant to be green, is it? I thought it said black and white. Are you representing the business? Yes. Oh, all right. So if we have questions, we will ask you then. So what we have white lettering on green background is what the sign will look like? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Thoughts, folks?
Which green is it? Is it the,
It's like a sign green?
like on the top of the picture?
Yes, it's supposed to be a sign, a street sign. So it's the back of the.
Like on the highway, for highway exit, that type of green.
Give us your business address and name, please.
Yeah.
It's, It's 12510 Bandera Road, Suite 102.
But that's the business. We're asking what's your name and your.
My name is Jorge Coronado,
That's
and
you.
my address is 2018 Cactus Circle.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so, very good. So, go ahead, do you have a question?
But, okay, so we understand it. The green we're talking about is a highway road sign green?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason we use that is because this is our sixth location around town, and we use the same signage, the same colors and everything. So we try to make it to a franchise.
Sure.
Now, did you understand that, and I realize the frontage of your building is small. So, did you understand about the 35 feet would be 35 square feet would be the maximum? Is there any way that you could comply with that?
I'm trying, to be honest with you, this guy that did the sign, built the sign, bailed out on us, so we got a sign. If it was any different, I wouldn't even be trying to make the sign to go. And all the lettering and all the thing around the sign, it's not bright at all. It's very small.
It's internally lit, right?
Yes.
Is the green also, does the light come through the green, or is it just?
No, it's just the white.
Okay.
Yeah, we had there was a master sign plan approved for this development, as I recall. That's correct.
I don't remember now. Was there, Susan?
Yes.
There was. And there's a multi-tenant sign as well.
Yeah. So you would have a sign in that multi-tenant sign as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, this building, this wall sign will face Bandera, or is the building oriented the other way?
It will
If I
face,
see how the property is oriented, I was wondering how you got
it kind of face Bandera, but the KFC covers most of our frontage.
Okay.
This is in the new retail strip. And so while it is next to KFC and the car wash, it's not obscured by them.
Right.
Navy Federal is
Next to
on
Craig.
one side of you or the other. Bandera Road Cafe is going on one end
Right.
cap. and
Yeah, I saw
kind
that, I
of
just
in the-
didn't, from the drawing, I didn't realize which way it was facing relative to the road.
It's this space.
Right.
Okay.
Which Bandera Road is
Thank you.
on the bottom, okay.
Michael?
So there is a monument sign.
There is.
So I take it that, my opinion is, I don't think this sign is gonna be what gets them off of the road compared to shows which shop is the pizza shop. The monument sign would catch the attention of the passersby, I would feel.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that, I'm generally, I've said this in a couple previous sign applications, that I'm generally a little lenient when you have font issues. I mean, we've got a lot of text here, and so, I'd be willing to allow them some extra above the minimum, but I think this is just a little bit too, allowing everybody, without really any other justification, allowing everybody in that center and everybody along Bandera Road to have, just to go crazy. I hate to beat up on our neighbor, but I don't want to, we said this time and time again, we don't want to be Leon Valley. We want to have some discipline to this stuff. So I'd be inclined to let him have the allowable extra, but not any more than that.
Has this sign already been built?
Yes, sir, unfortunately.
Do you recall when it was it built? How long
The
ago?
sign was built about 3 months ago, and the reason why you don't see just me and him is because the guy that owned the company didn't even show up, and we're in the middle of trying to find out what we're gonna do. And meanwhile, we just went through inspection for fire, everything went good. So basically, we're getting ready to open within a week.
Yeah. Who's Alejandro Villasana? That's it. Okay, because your name was on the application, so that's fine. Just trying to figure out who's who here. So he's.
I'm the general contractor, so.
Yeah. I mean, I hope you can appreciate our issue here. I certainly understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, the code is here, it's, you know, it's not a secret, and we want to be able to uphold it and be consistent and treat everybody similarly. I mean, and there's nothing about your business. I mean, the sign, it looks nice, no problem with the sign. I think you are, I agree with what Commissioner McLaughlin said, that multi-tenant sign that is right on Bandera Road is your best friend in a lot of ways, because that's gonna get a lot of attention because of all the traffic that goes by there. You gotta, people turn their head left or right, depending which way they're driving, they got a straight shot at your business, so, it's in the sight line, so I think that's helpful. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I know they're trying to get open, and we certainly appreciate that. But I think, Susan, there is an opportunity for them to get like a temporary banner sign if they had to, you know, have this refabricated. You know, again, I would second that. I think it's a fine sign. I think it's a good, you know, kind of get at your, you know, New York style street sign. You know, I would have no problem with this if it would, you know, kind of comply with the, you know, 28 plus 25% rule that we have.
Other comments? Why don't we, thank you, sir. Why don't we have a motion, please? We could discuss a motion and go from there.
Would we be amenable to give them approval on a sign with the same design plus 25% if we, you know, then obviously this
That would save
this
them from
actual
coming back,
sign,
yeah,
but they
if we
wouldn't
did
have to
a-
come back.
Approve it
Right,
per size.
right. So, I mean, you could put in a motion, we could discuss that, so.
Okay. All right, well, I would make a motion to approve the sign as designed, but limit it to the 35 square feet, the allowable 28 square feet plus the 25% allowable additional area.
Okay,
I'll second it.
discussion of the motion? Jason or Michael?
I think, I agree, I think the 25%, it sticks with, it gives us the impression we're trying to work with people that are requesting this, and I think it's a reasonable extension, yet staying within the concepts and the design concepts that we want to keep going within the city.
Joe or Ron or Mario, anyone else?
I concur.
I concur.
So I would just add, and it's not a reflection on your sign, I think it's important that folks understand that the ordinance exists and we really want people to try to conform to it. And that 25% extra gives us the ability to allow some flexibility. And so I think that's what's important. Now, keep in mind that what we're about to vote on will then go to city council in two nights. So this isn't the final word, but they will get this recommendation. So the motion to read it back, is to recommend approval of the request by Jorge Coronado for the variance to 6651 commercial signs, projecting wall, hanging in or on windows, and authoring wall signage for 46th Street, New York Pizzeria at 12510 Bandera Road, Suite 102, with the condition that the sign be limited to 35 square feet, which is 25% above the maximum allowed. All in favor of that motion, signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that recommendation goes to city council on December the, what is that, 6th? No, it's not this week.
It's next Thursday.
Next week, sorry, December 13th, next Thursday. The final determination will be made by city council. So please be aware, be good to be here for that. If you have questions between now and then, please contact staff, and they can answer any questions. We're gonna move to item 7 tonight, which is discussion and action on a request by Wes Putman for approval of wall signage and a single business monument sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances 66 signs for Storage Mart at 10930 Braun Road. I'd ask Susan if you'd please introduce this for us.
Okay. There's 2 signs that are included in this. First is a wall sign. Staff reviewed all of the criteria and felt that it is compliant with code. For the monument sign, there are 2 items that are not compliant. first is the design. The monument sign does not include a street number or landscaping. Additionally, the base of the monument sign is not constructed of natural limestone or similar material, and it does not run the full width of the sign above it. The second item is no landscaping plans were submitted with this application.
Can you advance to so the wall sign is fully compliant, right?
Yes, sir.
And let's go to the other one. Just so we can have it up there, because I imagine that's the one we'll talk about. Thank you. Great. All right. And size-wise, that one is okay, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You must be Mr. Putnam, right?
I am, yes, sir.
Otherwise, you're just really interested in this sign.
Yeah,
Put your, just name and business
Yeah,
address.
my name's Wes Putman. I represent Budget Signs. It's 2801 West Avenue, San Antonio, Texas, 78201.
So regarding this sign, it would seem like an easy fix in terms of putting a street address on there.
Yeah, my apologies. I didn't, talking with Ernest and doing the signs in the past, I was not under the impression, I didn't know that it needed to be, the base needed to be of limestone. That's no problem. That's an easy fix. We have masons. And also, I didn't realize that the sign company had to do the part of the landscaping, but we can certainly get that drawn and submit it to you. That's just my mistake. Didn't
We
realize
very
that.
much try to move away from sort of the pole sign style, not that
Sure.
that's a pole sign,
Yeah.
but you know what we're looking for.
Yeah. I didn't realize that the actual, in the ordinance, I didn't realize it read that it had to be the whole width of the sign. It's a little vague. It says it has to be a certain amount of height that I didn't, so, easy to fix. My apologies. Just didn't know that.
Had you, I'm curious, and had you looked at the ordinance?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So we
Yeah.
should verify that language is clear.
Yeah, I double checked. I could be wrong. I mean, I obviously missed a couple things.
Is this, is there lighting?
Yes, it's internally illuminated with LED green lighted. They're just trying, Storage Mart, it's a national brand. They're trying to, they're gonna put a lot of money into this project. They're gonna get rid of the old awnings and the different things that are up there now. So it's the signage actually is gonna be simplified quite a bit. We're getting rid of all of anything that's referenced to U-Haul. Because I don't think they're gonna be a U-Haul dealer anymore. I'm not positive, but I don't think they're going to be. They're taking ownership tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So we'll be doing the first reface tomorrow, debranding the U-Haul and stuff. So evidently they're gonna try to do quite a bit of facelifting once they get ownership, and so I guess they'll be presenting all that to you at that time.
Susan, could you go to the slide that had it up, the photograph, the street view? I think it was, how direction it was. There you go. So is that that's currently there, right?
Yes, sir. And we're gonna reface that, keep it just like it is.
Two-sided.
Two-sided, yes, sir. Reface it with the Storage Mart branding. We're gonna repaint it. It's got a little small U-Haul cabinet on it. We're getting rid of that, so that they can minimize. I don't have a contract for it yet, but knowing how Storage Mart works, it will probably be right after they renovate the front of the store, they'll probably have me remove that old structure, because their typical branding is like we're applying for. So they'll actually, which will benefit you guys, because they'll get it back down into the compliance.
I say, how tall is that?
That one is, I think, 14 feet or a little less. That was one of those that was, I guess, whenever y'all took over the properties, that y'all annexed that in. But yeah, something of that nature. I was told.
I was gonna say, because I Googled Street Viewed it, and I saw one that actually had two signs stacked, and it looked enormous. But this actually seems, what you're showing us here looks
Yeah,
a
no,
bit
it's-
smaller, like you took a
yeah,
cabinet off the top or something.
It may be 13 feet tall or so. It's an 8 by 10 sign. So, and I want to say it's,
Well, it's showing, it's officially being counted as 7.5 feet, isn't it?
no, that's the other sign, the new one I'm asking for. This one's
You're
already,
talking about,
this one's
I thought
already
you
been
said you're
approved.
just refacing this one.
Yeah, this
he
one,
doesn't
this
have
one
to
we've already
bring
been
the face
approved. This one's already approved in my previous permit.
I think Councilman Blue is.
I was gonna, to give you some information, if I could interrupt, if I may. This, you may recall several years ago, was actually a 22-foot tall sign, and it was a pole sign, and it came to us when it changed hands previously. And when they came, they were told you cannot have it 22 feet tall. It was granted to allow them to make it shorter, but et cetera. And then they put a box around the actual metal pole, which is actually underneath it. So that's kind of a little history that you guys, I mean, you may recall, because you were there with it. And that's why that sign is that way. What I was gonna say, and also is to address in your motion, you're saying that you're going to widen the base of the sign.
Not on this one, this is.
Right,
this
but
side's
the one,
already-
if you could go back to the thing that was presented before.
Yes,
Okay, on the dimensions, it's about 7.5 feet tall, but 12 feet wide. So it might comply, but if you widen that base, it's no longer gonna be within that 84 square feet. It's gonna be taller, bigger than 84 square feet. So it's either gonna shorten or something, because if they approve a motion that says
I can get that to work.
84 square feet, and you add to the width of the base, because
You guys count
the
the
square
base
footage
square footage.
calculated was not based on a wider base.
Yeah, that's fine,
So
yeah, and I can
just
do
wanna
that.
make sure that you don't make a recommendation that can't be followed through with.
Sure,
So 84 square feet is what is allowable. What you presented was 78.
yes.
So that doesn't leave a lot to work with.
That's fine, I'll make the math work. Basically, what I have to do with Storage Mart is keep a 1-to-4 ratio to their artwork, and then I'll make the base fit. If we have to lose 6 inches of height or something of that, 8 inches of height, that'll be fine. They're not real, naturally, all these retailers want bigger signage, but they're not people that are gonna fight the system.
Other questions? Michael?
So on the Storage Mart sign, it looks like the background for the storage, is that gonna be black?
Let's see, it's a yellow-black design. Yeah, it's black. Their colors are yellow and black, so it's black with white letter storage, and then it's white with black Mart, and then that's yellow coming across as one of their design elements, and then it's black again for climate control.
So internally lit,
It's eternally
I
lit,
think is
yes.
what you said, okay.
Yes, sir.
What I'm getting at, the long way to what I'm getting at is that will actually be dimmer at night compared to the present sign, which has a white background and is
yeah.
much brighter.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think that works
basically,
to
it'll-
what we're looking for
Yeah.
generally.
It'll emphasize the word storage more by this design. The other, I'm not a big fan of white backgrounds, but I'm a national branding person, so you'll typically, and it does help, you're right, about the lighting issues, you're right.
Okay.
There'll be less ambient light blowing
Thank you, that's
around
what
it.
I'm
There you
looking
go,
for,
yes. I'm all for it, because you don't need it, especially there on Braun Road, as dark as it is. They're gonna know it's there. That's why they're not so huge on having huge signs. Yeah.
All right, I think we can, thank you. I think we
Yes,
can
sir.
have a motion. I think we have clear direction here. Somebody would care to make the motion? Yes.
I move to recommend approval of wall signage and a single business use monument sign pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, signs for Storage Mart located at 10930 Braun Road, San Antonio, Texas, 78254, more particularly described as BCAD, property ID 1103837. Furthermore, with the provision that the monument sign have a monument to match the width of the sign while still within compliance of the dimensions in the ordinance.
Would you be willing to add to that about landscaping and address?
Oh, yes, thank you, and to include landscaping around the base as indicated by the ordinance.
The stone base.
And address.
And masonry base with landscaping.
I'll second it.
You said address too, right?
No, and to include the address, thank you.
Oh, you said that.
With all the requirements
We talked about it, I was trying to remember if there
Is there a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Joe's already seconded already, sorry. I'm gonna second his own motion. I like that.
recommended that it include all the requirements as written in the code.
No, Jason was asking for something.
Yes,
Oh, no, I said
no,
second.
Joe picked it up already.
Okay.
It's too fast for you.
Provided,
Discussion on the motion, Joe or Michael?
provided that it meets all the requirements written in the code.
I'm just happy that you're willing to work with us.
Absolutely, yeah.
It makes everything easier and life easier on everybody, so.
And I appreciate it too, likewise. It's, I appreciate the timeliness too. Won't be like last month, I guess. So, I'll remember pizza next time.
Anybody over here? All right, so the motion is to recommend approval of wall signage and single business use monument sign pursuant to code, chapter 66, signs for Storage Mart at 10930 Bandera Road. The condition that the monument sign include an address, landscaping, and a masonry base that still remains with compliant with the size and height dimensions. All in favor of that motion, signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It'll go before city council next Thursday night.
That's fine.
Thank
Could I
you.
ask one question too? And maybe a question that I need to send to co-compliance, but since we always have this conflict when we're dealing with businesses that are on two different, adjoining streets, the address is actually Braun Road. We'd like to carry the Braun Road. Can I put the address of Braun Road and just make sure I put Braun Road underneath it? Since this is actually on Gulm,
Sure. There's no problem.
because, in today's world, Google's going to send them around to Braun, and this is actually on Gulm. So that's how the city of San Antonio does it. We kind of, when you're on two different streets, and,
We don't have it's meant to identify where this is, so
okay.
I think that's, I don't see.
The only thing, and I don't know the answer to this one exactly, I'm sure Ernest Cruz and Development Services can answer it, but we'd have to make sure that we comply with whatever the 911 requirements are.
Okay.
Because that's why the address has to be present.
Right.
The police and fire have to be able to find it based on the address.
And that's typically why San Antonio, we do it with San Antonio, is because we're carrying the address of the business rather than if the sign's on Gulm and the other sign's on Braun, that it's on, they're both consistent with the same main address. That was just a quick, so. And I'll get with Ernest to make sure all that's
Great.
compliant.
Thanks much.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
And you know what, Mr. Putnam, would you mind, can you hang on for just 1 second? Just for after the meeting, if I wanted to mention something to you. I don't think we have any other business, so this is exciting.
Mr. Chairman?
To say we have a motion to go home. Ron?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of adjourning, signal aye. Opposed, we stand adjourned at 7:33. Happy holidays, everybody.